All right, so Garth. Everybody, all of the portfolio. We're excited about this tonight because we have a successful story here. It's Rebecca Simpson, and she got accepted into Sheridan. Yeah, so she's going to impart her wisdom to our group here for our summer portfolio camp. And you took some workshops with Garth and I in the winter.
I did, yeah. I took object drawing. I did some life drawing with Garth and room drawing with you.
Right. Oh, when you were in my life drawing class.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I was.
GSA, and then you took some character design, or did you not? Did you take any character design, Garth?
No, I think I just had there was a general like intro where you just kind of covered your experience getting in.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, but you had a lot of great ability, and and I found it amazing, Garth, how you were saying that around only 5% get accepted out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't wait to see your portfolio and how you got to be that rare 5%. So, and there's going to be lots of questions that students are going to want to understand between the two of you. Because I've been hearing you talk about this grading in a way of who gets in and how you just sort of skinned in.
Yeah.
So I'd love to hear all about that, and other students would too. So if you guys have questions, please ask her. That's why she's here, and she's got her portfolio to show you. You can gather around, and we got some of her sort of befores
I brought my,
in here too.
Some of my earlier stuff.
So welcome if anybody's watching this. Rebecca Simpson from Guelph, accepted out of high school into animation at Sheridan College. Talented girl, and we were so happy to help you. We were so happy when we got that email that she got accepted.
Yeah. I was really excited.
So it's good. Thanks for coming. And we just gotta watch this. Keep flipping. Okay, and so go for it. And you help her out with this discussion, right?
Sure. Do you want to do the portfolio first?
Sure.
I'm pretty excited to see it. Kind of like this morning for us to see. So what was your grade?
I got in with a 3.39, I think, or no,
Wow.
340.
What does that mean?
That is
What's
really
that?
good. That's very good. See, with
What does that
mine,
mean? Can you?
it's out of 4.
Explain this.
So every single piece of art is marked out of 4, and then they average the whole thing together and based on how many questions there are, and that's how they come up with it. And so it's really embarrassing to say now, but when I was applying, I just scraped in at exactly the passing grade of my year, which is 2.97, which is significantly lower. Even though interestingly for me, and this says something about the program, that was a high year. That was like higher than normal for when I was applying. So now that 3.29 out of 4 is the new normal apparently, or maybe you were in a high year as well. I don't know, but it's getting more difficult basically.
Yeah.
Is that what that means? It's getting more difficult.
And because the average is higher, so.
Oh,
Why would
that's
they
scary.
You have to score a higher mark to get in than previous years.
Why would they hire?
Just because of the amount of people are applying. Because they grade them, they sort of have like a ballpark level of skill. And so if there's just a lot of really good people applying one year, then the whole average is going to be higher. So, yeah, so it'll be great to see this.
So is it getting more competitive?
Either it's more competitive or there's more people applying or both, so they have to raise the bar so they can accept because there's only a set number of spaces for the course.
I think it's also people are getting better because there's more resources online, there's more awareness. Like when I was going, I was just Googling like Sheridan portfolio.
Yeah, that's what I did.
It's way easier. There's so many resources to let you know where students are at now. So yeah, there's more online presence, I guess.
Yeah. Rebecca, you were telling us about some Facebook groups?
Oh, yeah. I'm not sure who set it up, but there are 2 Facebook groups online, one for the accepted first-year students, and another called Sheridan Animation Hopeful. So basically, if you're in the process of applying to Sheridan for either animation or fundies or illustration, you can join this Facebook group and just kind of wait in anticipation with a whole bunch of other people who are in the same boat as you. And if you have a question, a lot of the times the first years or second years are still a part of that group. So there are people who are more than willing to help you out and answer any questions you might have. So it's a good place to kind of network with people, but also answer questions you might have. I've seen people use it for like getting roommates as well, but it's more for, just like, what's the minimum grade? What was it last year? You know, you guys have any recommendations for what areas I should study, like really look into kind of thing. And just also having that like group of people to weigh with you is really helpful.
You have to apply to them, fundies.
No, you can, a lot of people apply to both, but you don't need a portfolio for fundies. I think that's just based on your grades, as far as I know.
Yeah. It's a pretty low benchmark, I think. But it must be getting more competitive because even the amount of people that are going to fundies are still quite high and more each year, I think, so.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I think it's still pretty easy to get into fundies though, because it's the bridging course for animation and illustration.
Yeah. And
What questions would you guys like to ask her? Is there something that you have in mind? No, sure.
Not yet.
Okay, Garth, do you have some questions you want to ask about?
Did you see anyone else's portfolio before going in and having yours? Or?
Well, a lot of what I did when I was preparing for mine was I kind of looked into what the accepted portfolios look like and what the rejected portfolios look like, because a lot of people post them online.
Yeah.
And what a lot of people do is they'll post the criticism they got as well. So you can learn from, I guess, kind of learn from other people's mistakes, so they're having to make them first yourself.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, there was one character design, their rotation, where the character itself was really, really detailed, but it actually wound up dragging them down because they wound up, the people who grade the portfolios are really interested in the structure as well as the design. So when the design is really over detailed, you wind up not being able to see the structure as well, and it's kind of like overcompensating. I'll stop kicking the table.
What about, did you have any sort of mentors? Like, did you have a fourth year that you were visiting regularly to show your work?
Other than you guys, that was it. It was just me, you, Karen, and the internet.
Wow.
So,
Wow. What about your high school experience? What was that like? Did you have some good instruction there that was part of this development?
my high school art was more of a, here's some projects for you to work on and materials for you to complete them with. But in terms of like learning base skills, a lot of it I had to go out like into Guelph and the surrounding area to go to classes. And that just may be like reflective of my own high school art class, but yeah, a lot of it I just had to be either self-taught or search for classes and learn there.
Great, that's good to know. What do you feel? Oh, how long did it take? That's a good question.
I think I started late October, early November because I was still working at the time.
That's nice and early.
I was not getting as much done as I wanted at that point. I was mostly attending classes. I think like crunch time really started like early December. And then
Still pretty good.
I thought I had to finish by the end of January.
Oh, okay.
And when I found out it wasn't due till March, I was pretty relieved. It was a pretty big source of stress, but like in the end it did pay off.
Yeah.
Glad I don't have to repeat it, but like if I had to, I would have.
Right.
Definitely learned a lot from the experience.
Yeah, I bet.
So we probably, I guess I'm curious about so many things, but maybe it'd be great to look at your portfolio and then the questions and your comments and remembering on your preparation will probably come forward through looking at that. So I should probably relocate this so that we can see it.
Did you buy this portfolio piece?
Yeah, I bought this. Actually, I think I bought it at the art store with Evan upstairs. But, yeah, they recommend the IKEA portfolio because it's nice and big and sturdy.
Yeah, that's nice. I think mine is or no, I use the big one, which is kind of.
Yeah, I would have liked the smaller one, but there's no way you can realistically put like life drawings and stuff in there, which is why I went with the big one. It's worth it because you're marked on like overall presentation as well. It doesn't count for a huge amount, but like a sloppy, put together sketchbook versus a nice put together portfolio can be a bit of a deciding factor.
Yeah, especially when it's that high of a grade average to get in. Like you want
anything you can do to help yourself out is pretty good.
Can you help me out with that, please? I just have to be nearby. so I can get your portfolio.
So I guess we'll all gather around on this side.
Yeah, let's gather around here. I wish I had a bigger tripod. So sorry, everybody that's watching me relocate my webcam here. But look down at the portfolio here. Awesome.
So one of the things I did in like the last couple days of crunch time was like, I think just in Word and Photoshop, I threw together a really quick splash page and just all my, so like storyboard and life drawing, character design, stuff like that. They all got the same background, but with the title. So it just kind of held it together.
You had extra time?
I had like a day.
Wow.
I had a day. So it's not fantastic, but it was enough to pull everything together. So my character was a witch girl. So I wound up going with kind of a Halloween theme.
Nice. A themed portfolio. Interesting. That's a good idea.
Where I could, I tried to tie it in, but you can't do a whole lot with it. But like the areas I could help tie this together.
Yeah.
So I think I also had a like title page here, but I think that's fallen out. But yeah, so I just did a like general table of contents, and then set a splash page for everything.
Cool.
I'm gonna try to get just a tiny bit.
Where'd you get these light ones?
So this one was in your life drawing sessions out of your house.
Cool. Okay.
As well as this one, that's actually the same model.
I remember that one.
And then this one I did in Karen's class in December.
Okay.
It was actually one of my earlier ones, but we did it with the graphite sticks and I enjoyed it, so I kept it.
How long were these poses?
I want to say these ones were maybe 5 or 10 minutes, maybe like something around there. And then I think this one, it was a lot longer than it looked because we were like not supposed to lift our hand off the page or something like that. So it was most of the time was just me going over and like finding the right shape. These were at home.
Is that your dog?
Yes. And it took forever to do these because there's no way to get a dog still. You need action poses, but you can't work off of a photograph. So your poor sister has to play with the dog in the same exact pose. So these were more difficult. I didn't have time to go down to a zoo or something because it was A, the middle of winter, and B, I knew I had animals around the house, so I left these for later. But yeah, if you can go to like a zoo or a pet store or something, that would probably be good. And then my hand drawings.
Nice line quality.
These were done in Karen's class. I broke a lot of pencils to do this. Yeah, there's a lot of like prep of learning how hands work because despite the fact that they're doing the drawing, they can't draw themselves.
How did you think of that idea?
That tied into my character design. I'm double jointed and often play with pencils, so it was an interesting pose to do. And then the wand came out of the whole, I wanted to keep something of a theme going. And then it was just something different to do for the second pose because you need the before and after. So I just decided I was going to break the thing. Wand, pencil, whatever it was, because it gave some interesting creases in the hand.
And I like that you're foreshadowing it happen here a little bit. There's even a bit of a break, see?
Yeah, if you can like kind of tell the story as it goes, it's like it kind of gets you bonus points because they are looking for a lot of structure and skill, but you know, it's animation, it's storytelling, so if you can tie that in, it's helpful. This is the witch I was talking about earlier. And I do have in my sketchbooks here the earlier variations of this. She started out probably about that tall. But the design was kind of oversimple, so I had to find the happy medium between, you know, what I usually draw in my regular drawing style and what, you know, is optimal for the portfolio.
And I like the under structure that's going on here. So you can still see the legs through them a little bit with that lighter pencil. That's why I use the lighter pencil.
Yeah, I wound up drawing these on separate sheets of paper and then tracing over. I have a like tiny iPad-sized light table. But I guess you could just use an iPad in a pinch. So you had to do the whole rotation here.
How'd you feel about that pose? Go back 3/4.
That one was hard,
Most people hate that
especially with the hands and the feet.
one.
Yeah, it was a lot of figuring out how things worked and going and standing in front of a mirror. I think I actually wound up taking pictures of my younger sister doing the turnaround. And then you had to do your 2 action poses. I think I actually lost marks on this one because it was simpler. But I think this one was decent enough and like had enough movement in it to get me points. This one, they want you to have all 5 expressions on the same sheet. But when I originally did them, like it's hard to have that much detail in that small. So I did them separately and then scan them, and you are required to do that. Like you can draw them on separate pages, but you have to include every original drawing.
Right.
And then storyboarding. This was interesting because you're only given like the bare bones of what's supposed to happen. Like, I don't know if you guys have looked at the portfolio requirements yet. So they gave us the option of this southern-looking man or his dog, this like really large, over-exaggerated beagle named Bagel. Bagel the beagle. And I was not going to try drawing a dog. So I wound up going with sort of out of my fantasy theme and into a bit of sci-fi. But he fixes his chair with the space probe. So my layout drawings, this I had a hard time with, and I'm probably gonna have to brush up on this again before the end of the summer, because I think this was one of my weaknesses, but just trying to get the object drawing without actually having it there, because I don't have a small cage or a crystal ball. So it was, I think this was originally a speaker, and this was, I think, a painter's tape and a dog toy. Like, it was just whatever you could find around your house that had the same qualities as the object you wanted. And then using what you'd learned to kind of change them a little.
So in this one, why did you choose to do some more, not imaginary objects, but objects that you didn't have versus ones that you did already have?
I couldn't, because, you know, the end goal is telling a story. So I had hoped to, you know, make it more interesting than, you know, I have this orange and this jar of pasta and, you know, something else. And, you know, everyone does you have the objects now and time has passed and now they're rotten. And everyone does that. So I was hoping to find something that would set me apart a little.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was hoping to hear.
And then my room drawings. You're required to do in one of them someone sitting in the room, which was a little hard at that size. But yeah, they start really tiny, but I think when I did these, I had tracing paper that probably went from both ends of the table, just so you could draw out far enough.
Were you allowed to use rulers for that?
Yeah.
What, really?
Yeah. I know for the object drawing, you aren't allowed to use rulers, but the room drawing you can.
Oh, awesome.
So I had a T-square and a ruler, and I think I just wound up leaving it taped to a table for like a week. And then my 5 pieces of personal work. So these 2 were, I actually counted these as one work, I think. Kind of cheated there, but they let me. And then this was, I realized, one of my strengths. So I just did a study of feet and then just pasted them onto a separate sheet of paper. This was, again, one from Garth's life drawing sessions. And then I did a kind of a page involving the character design I did. And then this was just an older digital painting.
Oh, nice. You end up using that one.
And that's it. I think I've got some older, yeah, this is what I was saying, a huge piece of tracing paper. I just stuck these in here in case you guys want to see them. I don't even know where it's taken.
Did you draw it on there?
Yeah, I drew everything on here. Kind of a combination of working mostly from eye, but from a photo if I really needed to check like the perspective on things and have it match. But yeah, for the most part, I just was sitting at the table here. But yeah, after that, I just stuck it under a light table and traced it onto a regular sheet of paper.
Is it just stuff you added after the fact, or did they?
Oh no, this I put in before I came here. When I handed it into them, it was just up to here.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much it for the portfolio. I do have the earlier character designs for the witch in my sketchbook there, as well as some earlier hand drawings and object drawings.
How did you feel by the time you basically finished your portfolio and were waiting to go to Sheridan? Like, were you like, did you feel ready? Did you feel super nervous? And
the waiting period itself was really stressful. Having other people to wait with did help, but I was just kind of like, I honestly did not think I was going to make it in, because I had seen the other portfolios from people who had applied, and I thought I was kind of like out of my own league, but surprised myself and got in. And like seeing the people who are in the first year group, I still think there's a lot I have to learn, but they give you a lot of resources at Sheridan to like continue furthering your skills. So I think as long as I stay on top of things, I'll be okay.
Mm-hmm. Were there any conventions for how they wanted you to label the stuff in your portfolio?
I went in order of like what they had in the like the portfolio outline. But no, they really didn't give you a lot of indication of what they wanted you, like how they wanted to lay it out. I just tried to keep it as neat and organized as I could. And then kind of went nuts with the label maker. Yeah, no, there really wasn't a lot of indication other than it has to be in a portfolio. You know, your name has to be on it somewhere. You know, they wanted your name and your student number, but I think other than that, that was pretty much it.
So that left one was Photoshop?
Yeah, both of these are Photoshop.
what did you feel your weakest area was?
I think definitely the object drawing and the hand drawing.
Yeah.
There was just it was an area I hadn't really explored yet. And so I kind of had to learn a lot in a really short period of time. So having you guys there was really helpful for that, because you look online and there's like basic, you know, this is how you draw the inside of a house generally, but it doesn't give you drawing from life skills, I found. So having a class where it taught you how to do that was really helpful.
What did you find the most helpful about Garth's lessons?
They were like, it was hands-on and there weren't very many people in the class, so it was really easy to get the focused help you needed. And if you had any specific questions, it was pretty easy to get them answered. As well, if you're learning online, you can't take your art and go, you know, is there anything wrong with this? Where do you recommend I go from here? Can you give me some pointers on how to improve this area? So having people there that I could ask was really helpful.
So you found that Garth was particularly helpful.
Yeah.
Can you actually say that, because you're the one, Mike, not me?
Oh yeah, yeah. I did find that Garth was particularly helpful in that area for just being able to have the one-on-one question and answer, and you know, getting advice about where to go with my art.
So yeah, you had a session with him just about your animation, is that right?
Yeah, about my character design. I sat down and brought in what I had so far, and just kind of went over, you know, where the design was at. I was partway through the character turnaround at that point. So he helped me touch that up a little, as well as the expression drawings, and he helped me, he basically showed me how to push them a little further and to not like be afraid of kind of over exaggerating them a bit.
Hey Larissa, can you turn the camera on to Rebecca talking rather than her work now? It's tricky, isn't it? And what did you find helpful about the object drawing classes with me?
I had basically 0 skills for object drawing going in. So having it broken down from the basics, how to sight measure with a pencil or a ruler, how to take what you saw and kind of transfer it to the paper in terms of negative space and angles was very helpful. I really knew nothing about how to do it except from like really vague from sight. So being able to, have a class that would teach me how to do that on my own, so I could take those skills and kind of practice them on my own, was very helpful.
Now, guys, you have this person right here with you, right? That you could say, what, from a student's point of view, what would you recommend to these guys?
Definitely take advantage of the resources that you have. If you have strengths, keep practicing them. Don't go, all right, I'm good at this, not so good at this, so I'm only going to focus on this. Like, you can always definitely get better. There's lots of resources online and people you can connect with. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Network, because like you are only here, but your end goal is to get there. So assuming you stick with that goal, having people along the way who are already in there that you can ask questions to learn from, or who can kind of point you in the right direction is helpful.
So did you have some people that were currently at Sheridan that you could do that with?
No, I didn't, which I don't know that it was a detriment to me, but would have been helpful to have people to ask.
Sure.
So knowing that Facebook group is out there now, and I could have just like, hey, does anyone know about this? Was helpful.
So I guess Garth having recently been through it was a great resource.
Garth was kind of my equivalent to that.
How long ago did you graduate, Garth?
Just over 3 years now. So 2012.
Okay, well, it's relatively recent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. What else?
I was going to ask, which one from your experience, not considering like your skill level necessary, which one did you find took the longest amount of time?
I think it was probably cross between the life drawing, just because it wasn't like you could, with the like object drawing, for example, where you take the skills and you do it once and that was it. You needed so many life drawings for the portfolio, so you just had to keep doing those over and over and just choose, which ones do I think are the best. And also you had to kind of go into life drawing sessions with a goal. I need an action pose tonight, or I need to do a longer pose because I need one of those. And then the room drawing was just, it took a while to learn the skills and it took a while to sit there and draw a room.
Right, yeah. So, yeah, that was actually something that I got some feedback from some people that you could learn how to draw perspective, but the room drawing, they didn't find many resources for that. So there was some animation students requesting that I would teach that.
Yeah.
So that's good to note. And then it takes a while.
Yeah, it does take a while to just sit there and draw like every space in the room.
Okay.
And then to find a way to kind of make it a little interesting.
Right. And the longest learning curve you're saying is the figure drawing.
That just it in itself took a while because I was taking art from over the span of 2 or 3 months. So it was just kind of assessing, which ones are good enough, and you had to just continually keep doing them. But then the room drawing itself just took a long time.
Oh, I see.
How many reiterations of the exercises did you have to do before you felt satisfied?
There were a couple of classes that I sat through, and then after that I probably did 2 or 3, 4 on my own. Like even the here. This is I think the 3rd or 4th version of each of these, because you start with a really, really rough sketch, and then you refine some things and clean some stuff up because you've got the guidelines, but you don't need all of that in the final drawing.
Yeah, right. Actually, I remember helping you.
Yeah.
Actually. Yeah. Wow, and they look so good now. They're really cleaned up. Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah, a lot of them just had like this I think only I took 2 passes at. But
they're so fast. You're gonna do well in this program because
the turnarounds I did a couple versions of as well, just because it was
So hard.
Yeah. Taking like photos from life so you could see that turnaround helped.
Okay, that's a good tip.
I literally had someone stand in my living room and go, okay, now take a step this way, and a little more, and a little more. So because it's not the character you're drawing, but the anatomy is generally the same.
Okay. Yeah, we were looking at like little figures, little plastic figures over there. We bought it at Valley Village, and rotating them to today. We were learning about how to just draw a cylinder and
Yeah.
box so that we can put characters inside it and rotate it.
Actually, I think
But that's good.
Thinking
Using a
back-
model.
before I had this version of the character design, because there was a completely separate version of this design. And I think I actually like made it out of plasticine, like a really, really rough version, so I could physically turn
That's
it
a good
around.
idea too.
Ah.
Yeah,
Or like
great
one of
idea.
That's our idea.
Yes, very
Wooden
Pixar.
model things.
Yeah, the maquettes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, you
Like,
can buy
but yeah,
that.
like literally out of like kids plasticine, I just really roughly, because she had braids.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you know your characters are sometimes odd shapes, right? And you might find a figure that's similar, but a human body is not the same as a
Yeah.
character.
So originally she had these like really big braids.
It's really
And-
developed.
yeah.
too.
There it is. So doing this turnaround, having the braids is really difficult. And then I realized I needed something a little more, sophisticated for what they wanted, judging by what I'd seen in the other portfolios online. So I played around with the design a little more, and I like
Okay.
made her look a little less cartoony.
Yeah, I
Right.
can see even in the eyes, you added more structure in the
Yes.
finished version.
So there's a whole lot of pages in here. I think all of these tags in here are character design, and then these ones are all character design, where I just kind of took passes at her design and learned how to draw her, even though like it's your own design, but you have to find things that are gonna stay consistent. You know, her hair was always like longer in the front, shorter in the back. Her eyelids were always thicker on top, stuff like that.
It is nice that you picked a character that has the relative proportions of an actual human body.
Yeah.
Because some people will pick like these big top-heavy ogres or something,
Yeah.
and that can be more difficult because then you have to like, you don't have as much reference to draw from in real life.
Yeah. And I love that you see how she's finding the structure underneath the clothing.
Yeah, they
Right.
love that. If you can show
They
that,
do
do
love
it because
that.
they will get you bonus points.
Yeah,
Okay,
That's
yeah.
such a thing.
And with the storyboarding, they give you a scenario and a character that you have to use, right?
Very loosely. You
Okay.
get the instructions, the character finds an object, the character interacts with the object, the character attempts to accomplish a goal,
Yeah.
and the character succeeds or fails. And that's all you get.
Okay.
And then you get the, let's skip ahead here.
Hey, Rebecca, can I ask a favor of you?
Sure.
To just change that mic keeps dragging.
Yeah.
Is there some way to put it where it's not gonna drag on you?
Moving that back, it keeps crashing to the legs of the camera.
Thanks. Because I know there's gonna be other people who want to hear about this, clearly. That might be better.
I do like
Thanks.
this story here because it's very simple and you have like the antic where it seems like something bigger is going to happen, and then being a very practical guy, he just sort of puts it under his chair, and that's
Yeah.
good enough for him.
So this entire setting here was just, he looked like he would live in a trailer park. So I kind of ran with that because you really only got I don't know if there's a clear.
What did you get? You get a drawing of him?
No, yeah, you just got him standing. And it took me,
Okay. Wow, Rebecca.
see if
You
I
are
can find it
good.
here.
You just really pulled it together, because when I first met you and I looked at your work, I was like, oh, man, you're gonna have to apply for either illustration or fundies. And look what you did.
So I took a lot of
Wow.
passes where, oh yeah, this is pretty close to what they gave me.
Okay.
So you got that. And yeah, a lot of it was just me trying to figure out how to draw him as consistently as possible and as on model as possible. Because if you're doing animation, staying on model is something you're going to have to be conscious of. So yeah, I just drew him over and over again, and I started hating his face and figuring out poses. And
What's his name?
Earl,
Earl. Looks like an
Good. He does look like an Earl.
And his dog named Bagel.
yeah.
And how did you come up with your ideas?
Like I said, he looked like he was someone who lived in a trailer park. And I was just kind of playing around with like stuff that could happen in a trailer park. And what, people in the South, you often hear like, oh, I saw a UFO, and it's always like kind of trailer park looking to Southern people who are like, I swear, it abducted me. And I kind of hinted at that in the first one here where I said Roswell 50 miles.
Yeah. I like
okay,
that.
okay.
Um,
What was it say?
Nice answer.
like Roswell, New Mexico,
Uh.
which is really well known for its UFO sightings.
Yeah.
So I ran with that, and then he's just so used to this like being an occurrence. He's like, well,
Why not?
I need a fix for my chair, and he just sticks it under there. It's not new for him.
I didn't see it at first, and I laughed. Yeah, that's great because you probably made them laugh, right? A little chuckle.
Yeah, so the other thing was I was
That's
trying to
awesome.
keep some consistency in my panels. So, you've got the window and the door, the signs, and this one from before. Wherever you would see it, there, and I think I actually
you figured out the continuity, like
Yeah,
a plan
I think
of
I may
where
have
things would be.
actually done
That's
an overhead
smart.
view of his trailer.
Who was
Maybe
that
it's
in our
not in
class that kept commenting on the continuity? That's you, right, Sam? Yeah.
You were commenting on movie
The
continuity.
continuity police.
Yeah, so she was you were conscious of that. That's
Yeah.
good. See, so those might be things that they might see. What do you think they really look for?
Oh, in
In a
storyboard?
portfolio.
Oh, in the whole thing?
Yeah, or let's say in a storyboard.
In the storyboard, I think
What
the story is like the top tier, and then everything else is below that. I know animation, they love a good story. That's like your design and technical ability is obviously really important, especially for the portfolio. But story is still, I mean, everything's worth the same amount of points, so they say. But I think the between the lines, they really care the most about story. And especially when you can make it simple, the simpler the better. And like you said, with like, you mentioned that some people were not getting in that had very intricate design characters, and that's sort of the same thing, but for story sometimes. People will dress up a story with all kinds of frills, but sometimes just the simpler you can make it, the better results you'll get from it.
Yeah.
And it's also very animatable. Like,
Yeah.
It could be in like a Bugs Bunny show. In fact, even some of your design.
Yeah, I
feels like
did
it
take
goes up,
some inspiration from there.
Yeah. that
The
reminds me-
background and the clouds.
Yeah, it reminds me of like those,
Yeah.
or like the Flintstones or something.
I actually referenced a lot of Bugs Bunny because he tunnels around the countryside,
Yeah,
and I referenced that a lot to figure out how to draw this.
yeah, nice. That's great.
So kind of I just drew inspiration from there.
That's actually a good question. So in general, how much did you find reference to be useful versus just kind of going from your imagination?
There has to be some aspect of imagination because you are telling a story.
Yeah,
But like I looked up trailers because like the trailer itself kind of wound up being a character design
yeah,
because it had to look like he lived there. It had to fit the setting.
yeah.
So
that's
I had to
exactly
look
what I'm
up
talking about.
a lot of trailers to find something that fit. I had to look up, figure out a background style that fit with what they had already given me
Mhm.
because something hyper detailed might not have fit the character.
Yeah,
So things like the Bugs Bunny type style I thought really fit him. So I looked into there.
yeah,
But it wasn't like heavily referenced. It was just I was taking inspiration from that. So like there is some warrant to it, especially with the like technical aspects of stuff. His hand.
yeah.
I did not enjoy doing this panel. He has
Yeah,
such
close-ups are tough.
because they purposely show you in his character design that he has these really knobbly hands, and it was difficult to get it to look right.
Yeah.
So for stuff like character design, having that reference, like having pictures of someone doing the turnaround, or even the poses, like I think I acted out some of the poses myself to figure out where stuff was, how it worked.
Awesome.
But it's kind of a half and half, I guess.
Mhm.
For the room drawing, did you make up the room?
No, it has to be an actual room from life. So that was.
They come to your house.
Yeah, I guess they probably couldn't know for sure, but you
It
like,
has to be realistic.
and there are also certain tells when you've like drawn from an image. Like, I don't know where it is. It's in there somewhere. When you're drawing from an image, like stuff will be super, super consistent versus when you're drawing from life where like there's going to be some, like you can kind of just see it's drawn from life. And I think they've just done it so many times because I've been told they can tell from a life drawing if you've actually drawn it from life or if you've just copied a picture.
Yeah.
So I imagine the same would hold true for the room drawings. But you could, but I mean, they
They just
probably
know.
know.
And often if the space is arranged in an odd way, or like something doesn't look like it would be an actual room,
Yeah.
because there is a bit of a method to how people design actual spaces. And if you're not trained in knowing how they lay things out, then if you try and make up a room, it might not feel
Yeah.
real.
But you make up the character in the room,
Yeah.
right? Okay. Okay, and you can use rulers.
Yes, you can use
Okay.
rulers. You can't use rulers for the object drawing. You have to like carefully move your hands and brace it on the table, which is a pain in the butt. But for the room drawing, you can use rulers. I just wound up like taping my paper right to the table and using a T-square and so that all my angles were consistent.
I actually, to be honest, I didn't use rulers when I was doing my room drawing. And I did pretty well on it actually, but I also did like multiple versions, and then the final version was drawn like really carefully on top. So I just did so many versions that it was sort of okay.
Yeah. Honestly, I didn't use them for a whole lot of the room. It wound up just being a lot from drawing outwards. So where you have the ceiling, if the vanishing point is like way over here, then I needed a really long ruler to get this to be consistent. But and especially for the floor, I have a tiled floor, so
Yeah,
I
totally.
needed the ruler for that.
Also, do you guys notice the atmospheric perspective here with the line quality?
Mm-hmm.
As things recede back into the background, there is a slow fading of the darkness of the line and the thickness of
They're
the
not
line.
as important details.
Exactly, yeah.
Mhm.
I purposefully did that here where like I chose to kind of make the grout of my tiles a little more noticeable than it actually is. But just to kind of give it that sense of perspective, because when I had the grid on the floor, it literally looked like a grid on the floor and it was hard to kind of convey that it was tile. So I chose to do that, but it kind of worked in my favor. Yeah, they like line quality. That's one of the things they look for.
Mhm.
Yeah, and you notice what we were talking about today? You see, like her angles are good. Like it doesn't look distorted, right? And her depth is good, and it's really solidly constructed.
Squares.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right?
I think the only thing I didn't have a really
Good.
solid like construction on was I have these like poles in my house.
Mm-hmm.
No one likes them, but poles like that naturally have a like curve. Karen
Yeah.
pointed this out to me because I originally drew them straight, and she said, actually, columns like that have this natural,
Yeah.
roundness to
So they
them.
have more
Color and
Yeah, they're thicker in the middle than they are at the top and bottom.
Makes it look like there's this compression that they're holding things up.
And,
strong, like a muscle.
You can't do that with a ruler, so
Yeah.
they kind of get a little wobbly in places, but
Now, is this line just the horizon line?
yeah, that was
you
just
put
my
in?
horizon line.
Okay.
And I chose to leave that in because, like I said, they like structure. I left it on the drawers here where I found the center for stuff like that. Stuff like the sink and the dishwasher I just kind of did by eye.
Mhm.
But where I could, I left in the construction lines.
Good.
We're using a mechanical pencil or a traditional?
I think I used a mechanical pencil.
Seems like it.
Did they
It looks
care?
that way.
No,
Okay.
it just like I think a normal like #2 pencil tends to smudge a little more, so it's a little thinner.
Yeah. That's great.
I don't think they care what you used. I mean, I use like Crayola color pencils for the rest of this, so.
Yeah,
I don't even think some of them
you
are Crayola, they're,
you
like,
are
gross
ready.
off-brand ones.
Man, this is fantastic, Rebecca. Like I was a little bit worried when I thought, wow, she got in. Are you going to be prepared? Are you going to be able to handle it? And then I see this, and I think she can handle it.
I see my
I see it.
classmates and
I think you can do it.
But I think like it's a
Look
lot
at
of
this.
opportunities for me to
Amazing.
learn off of people. So
Yeah. Yeah, you improve as
Yeah,
fast as you want, depending on your work ethic.
I look at there's someone in the course who got in with a 3.98, I think. What? Yeah.
We had a couple of people that got perfect actually.
I didn't
Yeah,
see
like
it perfect in the
5 or
people who shared
6.
their scores because everyone had that moment of either I didn't get in or I did get in. This was my score, for everyone who's interested because everyone was posting their portfolios after. So, yeah, the person who got a 3.98 or 99, I was just like, oh my god, what
Yeah.
did you do? Yeah.
It's interesting too. Like I'm looking at this object drawing and I'm wanting to figure out what this story is. I like that. I'm like, what is this all about?
Yeah, you don't know what got out, but something did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
I like that. Like that's good example instead of, this stuff broke.
Yeah.
Time passed, it rotted.
Yeah.
Let's be more imaginative. And that was part of what we were working
Yeah.
with you guys too. Not just the structure, but how to tell a story that's kind of, it's intriguing.
When you look online, a lot of people have the kind of thing of, it's 2 days later and your orange is rotten and your juice has been spilled, or, the glass is broke because when it rained or something, or there's snow on all your stuff. but the objects don't really move that much, or there's not a huge story behind it. So I kind of went in with a story already in mind, and then it was just an exercise of how many things in Karen's studio can I find and borrow that, you know, look more or less like this, because this was painter's tape, this was a dog toy, I think that was a sewing kit. That was actually Mason jar.
The only thing.
That was a speaker. I had a
Oh, yeah.
Right.
cylinder.
Excellent. Yeah.
So what was your story?
There was- I wanted it to be like someone's like witchcraft workshop, and so there was something in this cage. Is my essence of newt on the jar there, and then whatever was in here got out. If I could have, I think I would have pushed this a little more, but I think that was kind of outside my skill level at the time.
One thing that you could have done, for example, is add like a little trail of hair.
I was thinking
or
about, like,
a
footprints or something.
Yeah.
But
Like through this.
yeah.
That would have told it
In
more.
perspective, I couldn't make it work very well, so I chose not to do that, but that was something I had wanted to do.
Yeah, there's little places.
There's definitely areas
There's
where I could have
little
pushed
things
it
like
more.
this,
Yeah,
and I question the size of that. And yeah, for sure, the footprints would have been the thing. But
It's great though.
it's
It's a
fantastic.
little bit subtle now. Could have been a flying thing for all we know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
you don't know what was in it.
But
It's
you're
just a dark page.
curious. And you know, and the fact that there's these little bubbles in here too is like, what is that? Right?
Yeah.
Good stuff.
So back to the room drawing for a second.
So really,
You'll never see what that room
Yeah, I
is.
know. So did you just sit in your house?
I-
and,
yeah, I
figure out where,
literally
like, the
sat at the
vanishing point
table.
was?
I think I remember one of you giving me a trick for that, where it's like there's a way to find where the vanishing point is in a
it was
room.
probably me.
I
Were you
can't
in that workshop?
yeah, probably.
I was
in
a
a lot of
blur after a
workshops.
while. Yeah, basically, put your pencil in front of your eyes. You can do this right now. Take your finger, go like this. Try to have glasses. What in the room is blocked by your finger? Or take your pencil or something. What in your room, when you look straight out, is blocked by your finger? Or take a ruler or something and see, where do all the converging, like if there's things on the wall on this side, there's things on the wall that side, where do they all line up?
Oh,
So, and obviously you can't see the top of the shelf or something like that. It just looks like a line. So we're looking at that bookshelf over there. Okay, we can see a little tiny bit, I can because I'm short, I can see a little bit under the top shelf. But you guys are taller, that top bookshelf might look like the horizon line for you. Can you see that bookshelf there? Can you see above or below that top shelf?
I see below.
So, you know,
This
so
is particularly difficult though. There's so many different.
there's different angles, but that you had some of that too, and that's why you wanted some help. Like every time there's a different angle, there's a vanishing point that goes to that on the horizon line. You found this one
This
here.
is the nicer one. I think there were 4 vanishing points in this one because the designers of my house don't like me. I've decided that was why, because this is an angle, that's an angle, that was an angle, and it was just there.
Why?
Yes.
Yeah, and I think we fudged a couple of things though,
Yeah.
because I remember that this was on another angle still, and we said, how about we just pretend it's parallel?
that's the
Because
nice
they
thing.
won't know.
Exactly.
And if it's
They
easier
won't
and
know.
it's still good perspective, that's fine.
if it makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
'Cause as long as
yeah.
you're following your vanishing points, you're going by eye. So I kind of went, okay, it's just above the point on this lamp,
Mhm.
and I put it there. And then just by eye, I went, okay, I know the vanishing point's way over here, because I think I started with this wall here. And I picked a starting point, everything built off of that. So
So,
That makes
yeah.
sense.
I set up the vanishing point, it was like way over here, which is why I had that enormous sheet of paper earlier.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I set that one up, and then I set the other one up probably like over here, and then there was another one right here. And I just drew off of it.
You didn't take a picture of them beforehand?
I had a picture with me on my phone, but it was more for like, okay, what's the relative placement of the furniture? You know, because you're sitting in your seat, you're gonna get up to go get a drink, or you're gonna go eat dinner or whatever, you're gonna come back a day later. And you're not gonna be sitting in the exact same spot. Someone's gonna move the chair, you're not gonna be sitting precisely where you were. So if you take a picture when you first start, you can see like you know, the couch arm and the leg of the table were like pretty much even. So, you know, that's what I kept the same. But generally, like, you can kind of line yourself up with the picture. So you're working on that.
This is something I've run workshops on before. I've done this at Sheridan College, and we did have a workshop for students this last winter on how to do this. We can also kind of decide what do we really want to cover in the time that we have together.
Yeah.
That if this is something that's stressing you guys out, you know, we can really focus a lot on this. Like, we got a perspective workshop this weekend, and so instead of perspective in general, you know, here's how you draw a grid.
Yeah.
We could, how do you draw your room perspective and focus on that? And what if you do have multiple vanishing points? And I do have some videos on this kind of thing too, because I also teach landscape architects how to draw, and they always have all kinds of crazy angles in their designs and slopes and stuff. And you know, once you know how to do it, it's really not that hard. It is very logical. It looks like a lot, but when you learn it and you go step by step, and it becomes easier than it looks. It does.
It's a long process,
But it's a
not
process.
really difficult once you know the basics.
Yeah. So we can address that if that concerns you. That's why you're here. That's why you came, right?
Yes, that's a lot of what we did because we had such a limited time with Karen. Because, you know, Garth was leaving for Africa, and our school is our class is ending, so we had limited time there, and we had all these projects going. So it was like, okay, Karen, I really, really need to learn how to do this specifically. Or someone's like, Karen, how do I draw a couch in a room? And, you know, we'd like stop and she'd show us on the whiteboard, and then we'd go back to whatever we were doing.
So, and that's one reason why I think students like to come to us at PortPrep, is because it's that we can answer that one specific question and be able to get you through it quickly, because a lot of times you are in a hurry, right? And where if you take an interest course, it doesn't necessarily get you there fast enough, right? So that's kind of the concern. That's one reason why we started this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Having that, like being able to go, okay, I have this really specific, I know how to do the general stuff, but this one specific thing I don't know how to do. I think the fruit bowl caused me a lot of problems.